Welcome to my tutorial of Vigilante for Sega Master System. And this one was in my Playing with Shit series, which is a series where I cover really shitty games. And this is definitely a shitty port of the arcade game. You're better off playing this on PC Engine or TurboGrafx, or just the arcade version. Those versions are pretty good. But this is a really shitty port. It's plagued by slowdown. It eats inputs where your inputs don't even register at all. There's delayed inputs, and the hit detection is really bad. So you got a lot of problems. I'm definitely going to review this game. So my main strategies here are going to be centered around exploiting all the bosses. That's what makes the game very, very easy once you understand. But there is one boss where you have to pull off jump kicks consistently, and that's like the hardest part of the game because the controls are so fucking bad. You got to time them just right, and even then, with all the slowdown, sometimes they don't register at all, and you'll just jump into the enemy and get hit. So, that's going to be the biggest annoyance. So you can shake these guys off if they get on you. Sometimes you can keep jumping and get past some of the guys, but not the ones that take multiple hits usually. So you'll see me do a little bit of that. But the main thing is just try to face these guys and kick them. Get the nunchucks if you can. You do get one checkpoint in each stage. So you want to try to make it to that checkpoint, and then if you die, at least you'll start from the checkpoint until you go out to the continue screen. Now, you do have unlimited continues at least, so you can keep continuing. But I think I made it to the checkpoint here. That's the idea. You want to try to get to those checkpoints. I think there's at least one in each stage. Try to take out the gun guys as soon as you can. The controls are very sluggish. And bosses can be very evasive and irritating. So, take out this guy, and then all we're going to do for the boss is just continuously punch him in the balls, and that's it. Once his testicles explode, you go to the second stage, and there's only 5 stages. So just take some shots at his balls, like a little speed bag. And that's going to be the main purpose of the tutorial, is to show some easy boss exploits. That's what's going to make the game, pretty easy. It took me around 53 minutes to beat. I had seen a playthrough previously, so I had some ideas, but it was still kind of hard because of how shitty the game plays. It's still kind of frustrating because it doesn't respond as you would like. So just try to keep moving forward to the next checkpoint is what you want to do. So you may need to learn some sections, but it's always going to be the same guys pretty much in every stage. There's really almost no variety, so you just want to keep moving right. This stage, it's a little tricky to get to the checkpoint because the checkpoint is kind of far, but it's not too bad. You want to try to get the nunchucks if you can. Whenever you see the nunchucks on the ground, just duck over them. You'll pick them up. Aside from that, you have your punch and kick, and you have your jump kick, which is very hard to do, which I'll explain how to do it when I end up using it. I had to figure it out. I didn't look up the controls, but it wasn't done in the way that you would expect the jump kick to be done. But I did figure it out. But it's very specific timing, and it's very inconsistent. So I'm probably going to die here. But you see, I got a checkpoint next to the boss at least. Now, if you lose all your lives, you'll go back out to the continue screen and start the stage from the beginning. But as long as you just lose a life, you'll go back to the stage checkpoint if you made it that far. The enemies will run away once you're close to the boss, similar to Kung Fu. So, for this guy, my strategy was very simple. I just kept kicking and walking forward. So I'm just mashing kick, or maybe even holding it on a turbo control, but just walking forward and kicking. The downside to this is because, you move so far into the stage by doing this that when you go back, you do have to fight a bunch of enemies, which is really fucking irritating. Now, I'm sure you can walk the boss back if you wanted to and set it up so that doesn't happen. You might also be able to jump kick this guy, but I got him in a good combo there, which doesn't usually happen. So you can try to lock him in place if you do it right, but I don't really rely on that. mainly just walking and kicking. Very simple, but it's not always guaranteed to work all the time. So you can still take damage, but you'll probably out damage him by doing that. So it seems to work well enough. So you're seeing the continue screens to indicate that I'm on a fresh continue with a fresh set of lives. So that's why I show that. So for these motorcycle guys, the idea is to jump kick them like that to get them off the bikes, but the control is so fucking bad for the jump kick. The way you do a jump kick is you want to be walking in a direction, and then you press punch and kick at the same time while walking. And then as you're airborne, about a split second once you leave the ground, you have to press down on the directional pad for your foot to extend out of your body. And that's how you do a jump kick. But with the laggy controls, you're lucky if it works at all. But I was able to do it fairly consistently when I had to on one of the, or maybe a few of the bosses I did it, maybe 2 of the bosses. Because there is a repeat boss. So I'll explain the controls again for that. But try to get the nunchuck here after the motorcycle guys and take these guys out. Stage can be a little tricky because you got the guys with guns and shit, but just try to keep moving forward. The stages are based on how much distance you cover, not how many enemies you kill. So getting to the boss is a matter of walking, X amount of distance per stage. So for this guy, I tried to go for a few ball shots, but it's not a great strat, so don't do that. But now I have a checkpoint right by the boss, so now you'll see the appropriate strat. So for this guy, I believe I just went for jump kicks only, if I remember right. You can get a few free punches in early on in the beginning, but my main strat, I believe, was to jump kick him. But you see how hard it is to even do a fucking jump kick, let alone land it. But that's what you want to try to do. So you see, I missed the jump kick most of the time because it's hard to do. But what it is like I said, you're going to walk forward, hit punch and kick at the same time, and then press down on the directional pad shortly after you leave the air. And that will extend your foot out to do a jump kick. And then hope that you land on the guy. So you see I fucked it up there, but I think I finally get it down on this life. But the only reason it's challenging is because the jump kick doesn't work half the time. It's there's so much slowdown. The slowdown is also at varying different rates, so I think that eats inputs at unpredicted times. So you don't always know when your inputs are going to get eaten up. And by eaten up, I mean the inputs don't register at all. So your guy will just stand there, or he'll just jump in the air and not do the jump kick, which is a big fucking problem. So it's just part of shitty game design. See how I missed the jump kick? It should be a very easy move to do. But yeah, you just want to keep doing it. You got to get your distancing right. Once you get it down, you can keep doing it. You can also walk the guy back if you want, because you have enough time. You can walk him back, and that way you don't have to walk back as far. Because the farther back you have to walk, it means you have to fight all the enemies in that space. So see, now that I'm walking back all this way, because the guy pushed me all the way to the left by trying to keep up with him, because the bosses are very irritating and try to evade everything, so now you got to walk all the way back to the right, so just be aware you're going to have to kill all these enemies now. If you want to prevent that, then, take the time to walk back to the right if you want, and then start jump kicking back to the left again. And you could probably make it so that you don't have to walk back as far. But I wasn't too concerned. I was like, fuck, let me just deal with it. So now we're actually going to fight the same boss again. And it's going to be easier this time because it's easier to keep him from walking too far off screen this time. Or maybe I was just more aware of it this time, and I didn't let him, walk me all the way to the left. But either way, it went down easier for me this time. The guys that come out of the doors are annoying because they latch right onto you, and you move so fucking slow. So, try to take them out and just keep moving. It can be a little tricky. But as you can see, the stages aren't the main threat in the game. It's understanding how to exploit the bosses, because you try to fight them normally, the controls are so bad, and the hit detection that, it's just a really shitty fight. So you just got to know how to do cheap shit to them, basically. They all have certain things that they fall for. So once you understand that, it's still like an irritating game, but it's really not that hard. I don't even know if I got to the checkpoint that time because I think this stage you have to get pretty far to get to the checkpoint. Maybe it just feels farther in this stage because it's irritating with all these enemies coming out of the doors. The game does not respond as you would expect. So you're always getting stuck on enemies. They're always fucking trying to dry hump you or some shit. So yeah, it's getting a little close here. I think I may have gotten the checkpoint here, though, at least. So this is the boss checkpoint. And as long as you get to the boss, the enemies will run away. So you see I made a save here in case I needed to practice, but I think I just used my old strat. So it didn't really take any practice because, I mean, this is like the same guy. He does have a few new moves in the beginning, but once you jump kick him once, he comes down. And once he's down here, you just do what you did on the previous boss. Just jump kick him across the screen, that's all. The hardest part about that is just being able to do the fucking jump kick. Which, normally the challenge should be in fighting the boss, not in trying to do the fucking move. But in this game, it's a little different. So as long as you can execute your jump kicks and get the spacing decent, it's easy. But it's easy to fuck that up. You see how many times I jump and then I crouch and punch to try to save my ass. But anytime that happens, it's because my input is getting eaten up again. So, you're probably going to take some damage from not getting your jump kicks out. But I didn't let him get too far off screen this time, to the left of the screen anyway. So I didn't have to go back too far. Just make sure, you're watch your timer. You don't want to wait too long. So I finished them off with a little fucking punch to the balls, but... So now is the final stage. And the final boss is actually very easy with a simple trick. So at this point, now that you've gotten this far, you should be able to beat the rest of the game pretty easily. So now you're seeing from a fresh continue with a full set of lives. So you get the nunchucks. Always get those. Focus mostly on trying to walk to the right. You don't have to take out every enemy. Just try to keep moving to the right. But if an enemy is causing problems, then obviously, take it out. If you get stuck between these two guys, it can be very dangerous because the enemies are much more aggressive in this stage. They strike much faster, so they can drain your health pretty fast. That's the main thing that was added. And of course, there's the enemies are spawning pretty frequently at this point. Maybe a little bit more than usual. But it's still very similar. It's still the same enemy types and shit we dealt with. But there's going to be more enemies with guns, more bullshit. But it's kind of like the same shit. There's just a little bit more of it. For the gun guys, you pretty much want to walk forward and then duck if you don't want to get shot. But I was just trying to be aggressive. I don't think they can shoot low at least, so, you can always duck their shots. I'm not sure if I even got a checkpoint. Probably not on that first life. Enemies can take a lot of hits, too, which really slows the pacing of the game down. Kung Fu got it right, where the most hits a regular enemy would take would be 2 for the knife guys. This game, the pacing is all fucked up. The controls suck. I mean, I got a lot of complaints about this. But soon we'll see the boss. See, now we're at the boss. So what you want to do here is, you'll see what not to do first. You can actually grab onto the ledges and climb back up. It's kind of awkward, but I may fuck it up here. I think this was before I figured out the strat fully. I had seen a video of this strat. I just didn't really study it, so I didn't realize exactly what to do. But you'll see. You'll see a very easy way to pull this off. This is going to be the failed attempt. I wouldn't recommend standing by the edge like that and trying to hit him, because if you get hit, you get knocked off, and then it's a big pain in the ass. So although this kind of works, it's not the final strat. So now we'll see the way to do it properly. So clear out these enemies first, and then we're actually going to go back and get the nunchucks. They're actually still on the stage. I didn't know if they would even be there, but I was surprised. You can actually go back and get them. So yeah, the enemies run away now. Now go back to the left, and if you walk a pretty far distance, you will see them on the ground. So just keep walking until you see them. There shouldn't be any enemies at this point. So grab the nunchucks, and then you're just going to jump the gap, and then you're going to see where I position myself and what I do here. It's very simple. So yeah, move forward a little bit. Don't stand on the ledge like this. This is what happens if you stand on the edge. It's a pain in the ass. Try to move forward with the boss and get in the middle, somewhere in the middle. And then all you're going to do is duck and strike his balls with the nunchucks. Don't try to stand and hit him. The key is just to duck. See, now that I'm ducked, and then all you got to do is time it when he's within a certain gap. You'll get the timing down after a few tries. It's quite easy to not get hit if you once you get the spacing down. You see, now I'm getting it down. It took me a few tries, but once you get the spacing down, you'll know exactly when to time your nunchuck, and you should be able to do it without taking any damage. So that's it. Just don't do it at the end of the ledge. You know what I mean? Try to do this in the middle. It just makes it a lot easier. But it's very easy. It's all right to take a few hits here and there anyway. You can take quite a lot of damage anyway, especially when you're starting from a full life with full health. So as long as you get that checkpoint, go back, get the nunchucks, and it should be very easy. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.